What's happening, everyone? It's DV, and we're back in Pet Simulator 99 to talk about whether or not huges are the greatest pets to collect in the game. Besides Titanics, there are actually some better pets than huges. And today what we're going to be doing is doing a benchmark comparison of damage between these. This is going to be probably an eye-opener for a lot of you who want the data. You know, there's such a mystery around a lot of these pets. There's so many. There's shinies, there's goldens, there's golden shinies. There's lots of data surrounding these pets. And today we're going to be going through each of these. And then after that, we're going to talk about which should you be grinding for, because a lot of people are so focused on huges that I think it's a little backwards. You don't actually need to focus on huges. Now, if you enjoy learning about stuff and becoming pro in Pet Simulator 99, please do me a solid, hit that like button and subscribe if you haven't already. Also turn on the notification bell so you don't miss out on future videos like this one, because I will be streaming Pet Simulator 99 this weekend again for this next update. It was a lot of fun last time, so we're going to do it again. So don't forget that bell, okay? Or else you're going to miss my stream. All right, so just so you know how this works, so if we were to test stats in this area here, this is going to have a lot more damage than, say, stacks over here. These are going to have more resistance to our damage. My taps alone are 257 billion. If I go over here and tap, I'm doing 403 billion. There's a big difference on damage, so it's kind of like damage mitigation or something. I'm not really sure. Almost like these things have armor on them. So whenever you're comparing stats and data, make sure you're consistently doing in the same place. Granted, in a couple days, there's going to be a new zone, most likely. So you can see we got another day and 12 hours, but this should be an equal benchmark anyway. It doesn't really matter if we use this area or this area. Actually, just because I already ran some stats, we're going to do our comparison in this area right here, because I already ran some based on pets I don't have anymore. So we got to kind of keep it consistent across the board. So we're going to start with the most basic pet we can do right now, which is going to be our Snowflake Dominus. This is it right here. This is our base stat pet. So if we come over here, it's going to be doing, let's see, 139 billion damage. And then if we compare that with, say, just a straight up level 1 huge, let's go find it. I actually bought this just for this video, but this is a level 1 huge. I'm going to show you the damage, which should be identical to the Snowflake Dominus, because if you know how huges work, that will always be stronger than your best pets. Now, this is a level 1, which means it has no damage bonus. So pretty much if I go and, you know, try to attack stuff over here, besides, I don't know why the coin stacks do so little damage, but right here, you can see it's 139 billion damage, which is the same as the Snowflake Dominus, but these do level up, and when they level up, they do more damage. You can see I've got a level 78 huge cat here that does 59% more damage. So I'm going to show you the comparison with this one. If we bring this over, this one's doing 222 billion damage. So we're going to come back to that one in a second here. Also, I just want to show you some stats for the exclusives, just normal exclusive. This is a 90%er exclusive. So pet will always be 90% as strong as my best pets. Now, these are going to be weaker than the Snowflake Dominus. But you can see right now it's doing 125 billion damage. So it's not as good as just having the, you know, Snowflake Dominus equipped as you'd expect, or even just a huge. And then you've got the Angelus here, which is a 95%er. So it's going to still be weaker than just having the Snowflake, the Rainbow Snowflake Dominus, which aren't that expensive if you think about it. You can get a bunch of those, but it's doing 132 billion damage, so still less than having the Rainbow Snowflake Dominus as you'd expect. Now, this is when things start climbing in damage. This is what you've been waiting for. So if we go over to Shiny, I'm going to start with the Shiny 90%er. This is a Holiday Balloon Cat. You're going to start seeing some craziness. So this is the start of it. It's doing 175 billion damage. 175 billion damage. That's already beating the level 1 huge, right? By quite a bit. Now let's go to a Shiny Angelus right here, which is the 95%er. I'll bring it over. And this one's doing 185 billion damage. And these aren't that, you know, expensive. I mean, if we're just looking at the RAP. Now we're going to go over to a Rainbow. And this is going to be a Rainbow 90%er here. It's 440,000. That's just the RAP. Doesn't mean that's the actual price. So you can see he's doing 200 billion. Little 90%ers doing 200 billion. Again, remember, these RB Snowflake was only doing 139 billion. This one's doing 200, billion. This one's doing 60 billion more already. And then we're going to do a Rainbow of these Angelus. So one of these are going for about 1 million. I think they should probably go for about 2 million, but especially once you start seeing the damage on this stuff. But this one is pulling off 212 billion. It's just slightly more than the balloon, the 90%er. And the price is like, geez, twice as much. So you might as well just go for the balloons, honestly, over this guy. But still, even if you can find any other Rainbow 95%ers, you're in good shape. This one is just really, really good. Now, most content creators, other content creators are going to argue, which I agree with their argument, is that you should always go for huges if you can, because they do scale in damage. Again, we were just looking at 212 billion. Let's go back to this huge cat just to remember how much damage this thing does. This thing's doing 200 and what? one's doing 222. So this huge is doing more, just slightly more, 10 billion more damage than an Angelus. But this huge it's definitely more than 3 mil, right? In fact, most huges now are going for more than 4 million. By the time you watch this video down the road, they're probably going to be going for even more. So if you think about the rainbow 90%er or even the 95%er going for about 1 million, you could have like 3 or 4 of these over one huge that's going to do just about the same amount of damage. This one's like almost level 80 as well. Now, they're not as cool. Yeah, I agree. They're not as cool. So having a bunch of these rainbows, not as cool as having a huge, is it? But these two alone are going to be doing 400 billion damage, right? Together. That's already better than having one huge. Imagine having 3 of these, 4 of these, 5 of these. You're going to crush. You're going to destroy compared to having one huge because this damage is just unreal. Now, what's better than a regular huge? I've got one right here. This is a level 62. So let me equip this. I'm going to show you the damage on this guy. So this guy is doing 242 billion damage. Now you can get, those golden hell rocks. They're only, I think they're about 4 million right now, sometimes less. You can sometimes see them for even like 3.8 million. And they do way more damage than most huges that are available to you. It's doing more than my huge cat, 242 billion. So golden huges are definitely going to be the way to go if you can invest, especially if you can afford them. I would go for like a whole team of huge golden hell rocks because they're so cheap, or even happy rocks. Happy rocks are a little bit more pricey, but like hell rocks are really cheap right now. So go for those if you can get them. But now you might be wondering what's better than a golden huge. We haven't even gotten to that yet, have we? So let's show you this thing. Where is he? Right there. Okay. This is a holiday balloon cat, but it's a rainbow shiny, okay? This is actually better than a golden huge. It's also better than my highest level huge. And it's not exactly cheap, all right? These are not exactly cheap. These are also more expensive than a golden huge, as they should be. Let's go over here. I'm going to show you the stats on this guy. This one is doing 251 billion damage. 251 billion. 251 billion, dude. Now, these aren't exactly cheap. Should you go and buy these? Absolutely not. They're kind of rare. You know, you might be able to do like huges for these. Like, don't even look at this RAP here. The RAP on this is way off. You're pretty much gonna have to like offer a huge for these most of the time. And then I'm gonna show you one that's just a little bit more damage, which you can expect is a 95%er. I got this one right here. It's a dragon fruit dragon, rainbow shiny, 95%er. It's gonna be the same as like if I had an Angelus version, one of these, or any other 95%er, like a celestial dragon or something. And you can see it is doing 265 billion damage. 265. That's crazy. 265 billion damage. Now, these are really, really expensive, okay? You're probably going to be looking at around, my guesstimate is around 8 million, upwards to maybe like 20 million, depending on what it is, especially the rarity. As far as the Angelus one, I was trying to trade for some of them. I know there are a bunch of them floating around. There's probably like 5 or so of these rainbow shinies that are floating around. They're not exactly cheap. I think a lot of people are, asking for overpay for them. So just, be aware of that. After this, though, what's better than a shiny rainbow exclusive? And we start getting into the shiny huges, right? So we got a shiny huge marshmallow agony here. I'm going to show you the stats on this guy. So this guy is pulling off what? So he's doing 342 billion. Basically, you got almost like 2 huges in one on this one for damage. So the shinies are definitely a good way to go. But of course, there's a better one. I knew you were thinking what I was thinking, and that's going to be a rainbow. Now, I've got a couple of rainbows here. They're going to do the same amount of damage, except this one has bonus, which I don't know why they put charms. Don't put charms on your huges. I don't care what you think is going on with that huge. You're basically devaluing your huge. No one likes the, charms because there's going to be better charms out there, and some of these are just plain bad. But let's go ahead and use my huge dragon here. So let me show you the damage on this guy. So he's doing, let's see what he's doing. He is doing 351 damage. 351 damage compared to my shiny. Granted, my shiny is also kind of, low level. 342. Now, I kind of think maybe, just maybe, my shinies are going to be doing more damage eventually. Like, this is only level 64, and it's doing so much damage compared to my rainbow. Kind of feel like it might be just a little bit more damage if they get up there enough, but they're pretty much similar, although I think shinies are just a little cheaper than rainbows most of the time as far as what I've seen. I don't know why, but they just tend to be cheaper. But what's next after shiny? Of course, a golden shiny. So let's go over here. I'm going to show you my golden shiny. I paid quite a bit for this one. This does have a charm on it. It's just coins, though. It's not going to affect the damage. So this one's doing 401 billion damage. 401 billion damage. And these go for quite a bit. These are usually maybe around like 20 I would say like 25 million plus is what you're probably going to be seeing for these. Now, what's better than this? Obviously, a rainbow shiny is going to be better, but it's not going to be much better than a Titanic, typically speaking, because Titanics are doing quite a bit of damage. I'm just going to show you my Hubert here. He's level 63. Go and equip him, and we're going to test him real quick over here. He's doing 404 billion damage. That's a pretty low level Titanic too. So let's swap over to a higher level. We'll use my highest level, which is a level 82 Titanic Banana Cat. Let me show you what he does. So he's doing 459 billion damage. That's a lot, dude. 459 billion. But what's half of that? Like if you had two, like these are expensive, right? These are like, although the prices are all over the place, you know, some people say these are only worth like 240 million or whatever. That's crazy. The whole market's kind of weird right now. But let's think about that. If you're collecting stuff for damage, right? Say you're trying to build a good damage team, why would you go for a Titanic? You know, it is, say the cheapest Titanic you can find is like 240 million. Consider how many of these rainbows that you could have for 300 million. So you could fill out your entire team with rainbows. That's pretty much what I've done. My team, typically speaking, is going to be full of rainbows. This is just the auto, but I fill pretty much my entire team with rainbow exclusives and some shinies for, you know, just filler. And the rest are going to be huges as well as the Titanic, because you're going to be doing massive damage. Now, I did test a rainbow Titanic, and that thing was doing 617 billion damage. That's pretty crazy, dude. And it, you know, can imagine like a shiny rainbow that's going to do crazy stuff. That's probably going to be closer to like maybe 700 to 800 billion. So that is a lot of damage if you think about it. So let's talk about what's best for you. Should you be grinding for Titanics? Should you be grinding for huges? Should you be grinding for exclusives? Answer is going to be different for everyone. And I'm just going to give you kind of like how I would build this or how I would decide based on this. If you do not have 70 slots, you shouldn't even worry about your pets yet. You should be going after slots. After you have at least like pretty close to like say 50 slots, maybe even 35 slots, then you can start working on your exclusives. You should be filling in all of your exclusives with rainbows and shinies and a combination of those, all right? So if you have a full team, if you're like, DV, I've got pretty much this where it's like all rainbows, all shinies, pretty much your team's stacked, right? Just full of rainbows. Then you can start working on your huges. At that point, you're leveling up, you're combining, because the huges are going to eventually do more damage than a rainbow exclusive. You know, I would probably focus on goldens if you can first as well. Don't worry about like special, fancy, nice looking, pretty looking, rarity type huges. This is purely if you're looking for a damage strategy. We're going to talk about different types of collectors and players later in a future video and what you should be going for based on the type of player you are. But if you're like me and you just want pure damage output so you can like grind faster, you can get more gems overnight and all that, this is a strategy you should be going for. You shouldn't worry about value. Shouldn't worry about the rarity of these things. You should be just going after hell rocks. Get as many goldens as you can, because those goldens are going to be typically priced similarly to a regular huge, and you're going to get so much more damage as a result of that versus just getting like really fancy. Like, don't go after like the pretty ones like huge, peppermint, and jealous and all that. Unless you're a collector, unless you got the ability to do so and start, farming for these, then at that point, once you have a really solid team, maybe you got like 50 huges or so, and you're ready to start moving up to a Titanic, at that point, you can start upgrading to a Titanic. But until then, you should probably stick with huges or rainbow exclusives. Now, should you ever go for a rainbow shiny? No, I would say stay clear of those. Those are not so great. I would say those are, yeah, they do a lot of damage. They do more damage, but the price per pet, it's really bad. Like, I would say go for your huges over those. Can't really look at the RAP on these because there's not that many of them, and someone probably just didn't know what the price was or value was. Someone got a steal for that. If you're going for damage, this is a strat you should take. Kind of progressively build up. Don't get stuck on the whole idea of huges quite yet. I do it because of content, of course. I want to make videos, and so I've got to pretty much flip these, and I'm hatching most of my pets. So I had, I think, about 70 of these before I even started for Titanic. Plus, I hatched all of these except for 2 of them. So these 2 I just grinded up to because I was just flipping stuff. I was earning. I was selling exclusives. It's just a grind to get up to here. And yeah, these do more damage, and yeah, they're cooler, but it's always going to be better to have a full team of huges if you can, especially the goldens, especially the shinies, rainbow shinies if you can, shiny, goldens if you can. But anyway, I hope this helped you. If it did, please hit that like button. Stay tuned for some, trading kind of tips videos. I'm going to be working on some videos to give you some tips on what to grind for, what to look for, the types of players out there, so you better understand other traders and what might help you sell some stuff in the future. Till next time, thanks again for watching, and I'll see you in the next vid. Peace.